together. So, let's have a sermon. How about that? Will we do that? Seems a good thing to do, doesn't it? So, you'll detect from the reading that we're looking at the story of the Magi, which I know all you good Anglicans will realise we shouldn't do that until the new year. Are you a bit tipsy?
You need a drink.
That'd be lovely, mate. That'd be lovely. But in the new year, we've got a different series. We're looking at women in the Bible in the new year for the first couple of months. So I thought, why should we miss out on the Magi? Let's do the Magi now, because with Christ Church we often miss out on them because we never look at them on the second Sunday in January. So let's just summarise the story and get all the key points. I'll ask you the question, just confirm we all know the story of the Magi. So how many Magi were there? We don't know. We don't know. We've got no idea. Yeah. And were the kings? No, the Bible doesn't tell us the kings. They're almost certainly not kings. And where did they go? Did they go to the stable? No. No, they didn't go to the stable because the Bible never ever mentions a stable anyway. It doesn't say that Jesus was born in a stable. And secondly, the Magi definitely didn't go to the stable. They went to the house, we're told in the reading. And how old was Jesus? Just less than 2. Between 1.5 and 2. We know this, well, I'll tell you why a bit later on. Well, I'll tell you why we know it. Because Herod killed all the boys who were 2 and under. You know, so he can't be older than 2 because he would have missed his target audience. Thanks very much, really. That great guy Herod. But, you know, he wasn't a baby because, well, he's not called a baby, he's called a child. And Herod killed all the children, you know, 2 and under. So we know that Jesus was, you know, just less than 2. So does that make sense of the story? Oh, by the way, the three wise men, nothing in the Bible says they were men either. So we don't know they were men, we don't know they were 3, they weren't kings, they didn't go to the stable. But apart from that, we've all got the story, haven't we? Right? Is that the story we all know and love so much? So, let's look into the story and find out what we can get from what the Bible tells us. So the first thing is, the wise men say in verse 2, we saw his star in the east and have come to worship him. Now, the wise men saw his star in the east and have come to worship him. So it seems definitely they weren't Jews because they refer to him as the King of the Jews. So they separate themselves from that. I want to point out that this statement is mind-blowing. Just try and think about what happened here. By using astrology, by looking up into the stars, they were looking at the stars and they saw this new star. And somehow, they looked at this new star and they came to this conclusion. A new king has been born and we need to go and worship him. What? Everybody really into astrology here. Everybody really into studying the stars. Can you imagine anybody ever coming to that conclusion? It's mind-blowing. They're gazing at the stars and they go, there's one we haven't seen before. Oh, let's look at that. And the conclusion is, a new king's been born and we must go and worship him. I don't know about you, but I cannot even begin to try and work out how that process takes place. But they looked at God's creation, and from that, they worked out that Christ had been born. God's creation revealed it. And just a little nugget which is really immaterial. We call our star sun. Well, a new star had been born. God had created in the heavens a new star. He created a new sun. nice little bit of synergy. These guys saw a new sun in the sky and came to worship a new sun on earth. But it gets better than that. Because, kings are born quite frequently. I mean, back in these days, kingdoms weren't very big. They weren't the size of the modern countries. Kings were born quite often. Not to a penny. It wasn't unusual for a king to be born. But these wise people made a decision. They made a decision to put their entire life on hold. They made a decision based on this star being born, based on their understanding that this star represented the birth of a new king, based on their understanding that they could follow this star to work out where it was. They made a decision to put their entire life on hold and go and worship this new king. I put my heading here, they dedicated themselves to the mission. And it would appear it took years out of their life. Because this new star came into being when Christ was born, yet they didn't arrive till closer to between 1.5 and 2. And then had to head back again. They dedicated years, not just a Sunday morning trip to church, but years of their life. And it would appear, obviously, they weren't Jews, they didn't have understanding of the Jewish faith, they didn't precisely know that Jesus Christ was the Messiah. They just had this understanding they had to go and worship. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I've put here, extraordinary dedication to the mission. And my question for us is there any part of your life where you could show this commitment to Jesus? I was preaching at a church a fortnight ago in Liverpool, and I asked this question, different setting, but same idea. If you were in court and you're meant to be being sentenced for being a follower of Christ, would they find sufficient evidence to convict you? If you try to say, of course I am. Look. I see what you mean. Could you represent the evidence? Have we got dedicated, followers of mission like the Magi? So the second point about these Magi, I want you to consider something. Maybe, let's see, strange that, you might be sat here at 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or even old as David Page. Who knows how old you may be. I was going to pick on Angie there, but I thought, I've helped her up this morning, so I've already picked on her. Here's a question for you. Was Jesus poor? Were Mary and Joseph poor? I want to suggest to you that they weren't. I want to suggest to you that Mary and Joseph were actually pretty rich. Joseph had a trade. He was a carpenter, a profession, which he passed on to his eldest son, Jesus. We learned that they lived in a house in Bethlehem by the time the Magi arrived. We know that Mary travelled by limousine to Bethlehem. Well, first century equivalent. A donkey. Yeah. Although, by the way, just to be really precise, doesn't mention that in the Bible. Yeah, it doesn't mention that. It mentions it in some of the apocryphal books that are not in the Bible, that she came to Jerusalem in a donkey, but it doesn't mention it in the Bible. But most of all, so that setting there, it depicts a family of wealth, not a family of poverty. But most of all, and we somehow miss this in the life of Jesus, the wise men gave them gold. The wise men gave them gold. The most precious metal, the most expensive thing that they could give at that time in society. gold. Jesus started his life off with gold. You know, and we tend to forget that actually that would have an impact in his life. They fled to Egypt as a family and managed quite adequately, probably, on gold. And I tell you what's really interesting. It impacts Jesus' future life. Matthew 15 and verse 33 tells us the feeding of the 4,000. And we think that Jesus did was, you know, we can picture Jesus as not having much money. The Gospels just don't say that. Matthew 15:30, the feeding of the 4,000. Jesus says to the disciples, where are we going to get enough bread to feed the 4,000? He doesn't say we haven't got enough money to feed the 4,000. He says, where are we going to get enough bread to feed the 4,000? And you think when he died on the cross and the soldiers cast lots for his garment, why did they cast lots for his garment? Because it was something they wanted. Soldiers don't cast lots for all the beggars' dirty clothes they chuck on the fire. It was a garment, one piece, which they wanted because it was valuable. That's why they wanted it. So my point that I'm making here is, I'm not saying that it was solely down to the Magi, that the Magi financed Christ's entire life. You can see they had other assets before then. But their wealth put at the disposal of Jesus had phenomenal consequences. And I want to ask you once again, my point for you to ponder on this is financial wealth put at God's disposal can have amazing kingdom results. And the simple question, the obvious question is, have you ever had that discussion? Is your capital, that was capital, not income, is your capital at God's disposal? He may happily say, pass it on to your children. He may not. That the Magi brought capital. And who knows what impact it had in their life. But we can see some of the ramifications in Christ's life. Verse 12 is quite easy to brush over. Let's go to verse 12. Verse 12, you will like this because it's the last verse really. So you're thinking it's coming to the end of the sermon. I am. And having been wandering, dreamed not to go back to Herod, they returned to their home a different route. When's the last time that God chatted to you in a dream? Yeah. Bear in mind that these Magi, at this point in time, although maybe having met Christ, maybe already they'd become followers of Christ, you know. But these Magi, from the east somewhere, God speaks to them in a dream, and they recognize that it is God, and they accept it, and they act on it. That was these Magi. We don't even think of them as Christians. We're the Christians, us lot. Yeah, I'm here. You know, do we do that? Is that our experience? Yeah. These Magi had met Christ, and they're in the house. Mary and Joseph probably making them a cup of tea and coffee. They do that. I'm sure they had teas and coffees even back then. You know, because they were British, weren't they, the Magi? And somehow God speaks to them in a dream. They spent some time there. They were asleep. Spent the night in this house. It's big enough. They were wealthy, weren't they? You know, spent some time there, and God speaks to them. But look at the consequences of them not doing what the king, what humanity said, what King Herod said, the authority, the consequences of what happened. Because they went to a different route. Joseph has another dream, hears from God, and they flee to Egypt. And what does King Herod do? Well, let me tell you, King Herod was nasty. Yeah? King Herod has I'm going to say a great track record. He doesn't. He has a tragic track record of being nasty. When he came to the throne, he killed his wife, he killed his 3 sons, he killed his mother-in-law, he killed his brother-in-law, he killed his uncles, all just to make sure there was no threats left for his throne. That's the kind of person that Herod was. We don't get that in the Bible, obviously we get that from history. Yeah, that's the character of Herod. So when he found out that there was another king born somewhere in Bethlehem, in the Nazareth area, another threat to his throne, what does he do? He sends his soldiers, tell you what to do, just to be on the safe side, I don't know who he is, so just kill every single child under 2. That's Herod. Now, was that the Magi's fault? The Magi had gone back to Herod like he'd asked and said, yeah, we know where the king is. He's in that house down, Chapel Street. Then Herod just gone and killed Jesus. Who's to blame? Is God to blame for giving him that dream, making him go somewhere else? Obviously I want to say to you, no. No, we can't blame God when bad things happen because good people do good things. Yeah, but somehow we have a tendency to do that sometimes. We live in a fallen world and we live with the fallenness of sinful people. And sinful, nasty, evil people do evil things. And one of the evil things that Herod did was to wipe out, a generation, not a generation, but a whole bunch. They believe it probably 10,000. They reckon, trying to do the maths on the number of children that age at that time. Evil. But the Magi did what was right. Herod did what was wrong. And we have to do what is right. We have to do what's right. Even if sometimes the consequences seem bad. We have to stand up for what is right. And I believe the Magi's lives were changed forever because of this experience. They started hearing from God and responding to God. They worshipped Christ. They offered up capital, financial wealth, the most precious things that they could think to give, they offered to Christ. A final question for you this morning really is, when's the last time you heard from God and responded to it? Be it a vision, a dream, a word of prophecy, a word of knowledge. When's the last time that you heard from God and responded to it? These Magi, they didn't even know God at that point in time, it seems. Or maybe that was the first encounter, an epiphany, you may call it. So my 3 questions for this morning is, where's the evidence in your life of your commitment to Jesus? Your commitment to his mission? Are your finances at God's disposal? When's the last time you heard from God and responded? We can learn a lot from these Magi, but the story's a little bit different from the ones we normally think about. So we're going to end that there, and I'm going to look at my notes and see, we're going to carry on by